Rolling.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. We are a fraternal organization dedicated to preserving the history and legacies of heroes who fought and worked to save the Union. Today, Remembrance Day, we gather here on the Gettysburg battlefield to commemorate President Lincoln's delivery of the Gettysburg Address at the dedication of the Soldiers' National Cemetery. In the President's words, but in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. What better way to remember what they did here than to share their stories? Brigadier General Cadmus Wilcox's brigade of Alabamans broke through the forward Union position along the Emmitsburg Road. Major General Winfield Hancock, the commanding officer of the 2nd Corps, rode up to the 1st Minnesota's position, looking for troops to stop Wilcox's advance before the Confederates overran the Union line on Cemetery Ridge and roll up the Federal left flank. According to one account, General Hancock came up to the well-ordered 1st Minnesota and asked, "What regiment is this?" "1st Minnesota," its commander, Colonel William Colville, replied. Hancock then ordered the Minnesotans to charge down the slope and take the Confederate colors. General Hancock would later reflect, "Reinforcements were coming on the run, but I knew that before they could reach the threatened point, the Confederates, unless checked, would seize the position. I would have ordered that regiment in if I had known every man would be killed. It had to be done." From this spot under this statue, the 262 men of the 1st Minnesota ran in formation down the slope behind me through a wheat field to the dry creek known as Plum Run, where they faced up to 1,500 Alabamans. Hancock needed 5 minutes. The 1st Minnesota gave him 15. They stopped the advance of the Alabamans, but in the course of it, they suffered tremendous casualties. They never hesitated. They knew what was going to happen, and they went and did it anyway. 262 men would make that charge. Only 47 were left to muster after it. Many who have studied and visit Gettysburg know that story. But here is another story. Charles C. Loomis was born in 1842 in New York Mills, New York. His mother Sarah died of cancer on May 15, 1860 at the age of 47. His grief-stricken father Asa committed suicide only a few days later on May 29, 1860. They both are buried in Lowell, Massachusetts. Charles was only 18 years old. At some point after May of 1860, Charles moved west. I am not sure why, but I know there were Loomises in Minnesota and Wisconsin at the time. Whether or not he knew them and went to stay with them is still being researched. In addition to Charles, I had another relative in Company A, 1st Minnesota, Melvin Fuller. Melvin Fuller was born on July 22, 1840, in Greene, New York. He moved to Wisconsin in 1855. He was married 3 times and had 6 sons and 2 daughters. Charles and Melvin both enlisted on April 29, 1861 as privates in the Company A, 1st Minnesota at Fort Snelling, Minnesota. Charles is on my mother's side of the family, and Melvin is on my father's side of the family. So while not related to each other, I find it fascinating they're on opposite sides of the family, enlisted in the same company on the same day, in a state neither of them was from. They both participated in the Battle of First Bull Run, the 7 days battles of South Mountain and Antietam, where Charles was briefly captured. They were at the Battle of Fredericksburg, Virginia, and here at the Battle of Gettysburg. Charles Loomis and Melvin Fuller were my family, and among the 262 that charged on July 2, 1863. Only Melvin would muster among the 47 that survived, and would continue to fight until 1864, when he would muster out. Melvin Fuller died on August 1, 1911 at the age of 71 and is buried in Partyville, Wisconsin. From his obituary, Mr. Fuller enlisted the 1st Minnesota Veteran Infantry Company A for 3 years and served 3 years and 4 days. His regiment went out with 1,010 men and when mustered out had only 104 men left of the original enlistment. Mr. Fuller was in the first battle of Bull Run, and the day after the battle, while humping it for Washington to the best of their ability, it occurred to him that it was his 21st birthday. He said to his comrades in misfortune, "Boys, today I am 21 years old. I am a man and running for dear life." He was never wounded and never sick a day while in the service. Charles Loomis, however, was killed here on July the 2nd, 1863. He was 21 years old. He was briefly buried here at Gettysburg, and sometime after the battle, he was moved and buried with his parents in Lowell, Massachusetts. Today, I remember both of them. I encourage all brothers to spend time today and remember their ancestors and share their stories. Each Remembrance Day Lincoln Cushing camp would like a different brother to share their ancestor story here at Gettysburg, to fulfill President Lincoln's hope that we never forget what they did here. While some would present a wreath or flowers, today we will place an American flag in remembrance. The soldiers rallied, marched, fought, and died under it, and I can think of no better symbol to remember them by. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. And I hope to see you all next year and hear your stories.